Hello, welcome to the queue. Game 4 of the lockdown. BBR 1940 is what we're playing. And Russia is up. Germany just went. There is the Russian purchases. I've got 4 for tech, 1 to move a factory, leaving $32 to spend on glorious troops for the motherland. There is 12 in infantry, 10 for 2 infantry artillery, and another 10 for an artillery tank. And if you look at those units, they are what I've been doing, weathering and painting to try and do some units similar to G.I. Joe and Sireds, but with a slightly different twist, the way maybe I would want things done, maybe a little bit different. So if you like them, fine. If you don't, well, I'm sorry. But before we get into the game turn and looking at the pieces, we have a slight error for the German turn, and it was apparently from the last game as well. The C-Zone 1 to 10 was attacked here, and the 2 subs got, because there's no destroyer in C-Zone 110, there was a British cruiser. So the 2 subs came in, missed on the French, but they hit on the British. No problem. But then there was 4 fighters and 4 tacticals, and you've got an anti-aircraft shot with the battleship, but what also that does is it eliminates the ability of the tactical bombers to target select. He did roll them as target select, got the hits, took them off, and they didn't fire back. They actually do get to fire back. So he had the hits, so they are dead. There is no doubt about that. But they do get to fire back, so I'm going to roll 2 dice, 1 3 and 1 4 for the French cruiser and the British battleship, and any hits will apply to those subs. 1 hit, so 1 sub's gone, and those are dead as well. All right, so that is it for that. Look over here, there is 2 combats and a whole lot of running around, but you can see some of those units on the board. There's a little bit of camouflage there, but you can kind of see they're slightly red with a little bit of weathering on them. I really like that color. I used the same color that G.I. Joe used. I don't know if Sired used that or not. And then a little bit of shake-up up here, the Siberian troops. So I got them a little bit of white, and I couldn't use the dip polyurethane on the white because it really made it look bad. So I used an ink wash, but no one will tell, and you can't tell just by looking at them. And then there's the first action of the dive bomber stand, where I cut and angled it so that it looks like it's actually diving. So I don't usually use stands for the dive bombers, but I think I will on some of those because it looks pretty cool. All right, so let's widen this out and we can see the combat moves. We have 1 here, which is a walk-on. So that's an easy one. The other one is a sub on sub, and what that means is without a destroyer, the German sub does not have to defend that C-zone. It could submerge. So we're going to assume that that's what's going to happen, and we'll put a submerge marker on that sub. If that's not the case, Detroit, let me know and we can roll that battle out. But I got to believe that you would want to submerge, seeing that you would be at a disadvantage on the dice rolling. So that allows the Lend-Lease to happen because the sub is submerged. That's the only reason for that. Otherwise, I'd be in this convoy zone here, taking away some points. All right, so let's move the camera and do some movement here. We are going to, let's go ahead and move our factory while we got it marked there. I didn't mark out the other movements though. All right, so let's move 3 infantry from Ukraine into Bryansk, along with the artillery from Western Ukraine. We're going to drive the mech and the tank up into Bryansk. We're going to move, I don't know if we need to leave that one guy there. It doesn't seem like we need to. I mean, he can blitz through with his tanks, but, you know, have at it. That'll be, I'd like that, actually. All right, so we're going to move another artillery from Moscow down to Bryansk, a tank and a mech, and another infantry out of Moscow. All right, so that is, oh, and let's move this anti-aircraft gun as well. So up north here, that's in the viewfinder, we're going to retreat the Karelia 2 infantry back, the Vyborg 3 infantry. We're going to move the Archangel infantry into Smolensk, and we're going to leave 1 infantry in Baltic because we do care about that, and the other 2 infantry will go into Leningrad. All right, what other kind of stuff would we like to do here? All right, let's move the fighter and tactical up to Leningrad. Or do we want to move those south? That's why you usually should mark everything. And it was getting late and I didn't want to mark those. There isn't any attacks coming there, so I think for this turn here, we'll move them to this factory down here in Rostov. All right, so over on the far side here, we've got 4 Siberians moving up into Siberia. 1 anti-aircraft sliding over. All right, so 1 infantry is railing from Amur all the way back to Moscow. And we'll put a guy on that when we do our purchases, or put our purchases on. All right, so we're going to move 6 into Saka, and then 1 into Buryanta. And Amur is vacant. And that is the conclusion of our movement. Put my marker down. All right, so all the factories are in view here. Let me swing around over here, place my units. All right, so we are going to place an infantry and artillery in Rostov. Because we moved it, we can only place 2 there. We are going to place an artillery and a tank up here in Leningrad. In Moscow, 4 infantry. And Stalingrad. I wonder if I should put another one there. Yeah, instead of 4 infantry on the placement, we're going to place 3 infantry plus the one I railed there, which is a total of 4. All right. So, with that being said, I think we're golden. Get my marker off. Before I do the recap, let's look at some money here. Russia did not go up any on the income tracker because Northwest Iran is worth nothing. So they are at $36. Let's see what they get. Tell them what you've won. All right, so they have these three countries or territories for $3. They have one pro-axis for $3. They have 3 of the 4 for $5. So that is $11. So that gives the Russia $48. And we have a Lend-Lease roll. As soon as I find a dice here with a number. And they get a 1, which is the worst you can get. Artillery in Amur or Archangel? I guess I could put it in Amur, but it's all alone. So let's put it in Archangel, shall we? I'll place that artillery up there. That is my Lend-Lease goodies. All right, so now let's do a recap. Let's zoom in a little here. So in Northwest Iran, 2 infantry. In the Ukraine, 2 infantry. Western Ukraine, 1 infantry. Rostov, 1 infantry, 1 artillery, 1 fighter, 1 tactical. Stalingrad, 2 infantry. In Bryansk, we have 4 infantry, 2 artillery, 2 mech, 2 tanks, 1 anti-aircraft gun. Belarus, 1 infantry. Baltic, 1 infantry. Smolensk, 1 infantry. Moscow, 4 infantry and a AA gun. Archangel, 1 artillery. Leningrad, there is 6, 10, 13 infantry, 2 artillery, 1 tank, 1 fighter, 2 anti-aircraft guns. C-Zone 115 cruiser sub. C-Zone 126, 1 sub. And that will be all for the Russians. $48 coming their way. And the next up is G.I. Joe with Imperial Japan.